Welcome to this week's episode. I'm Paula Williams.
I'm John Williams.
And we are ABCI, and ABCI's mission is
to help all you folks out there in the aviation industry sell more of your products and services.
Right. So some of our clients are FBOs.
Oh, you think?
And a lot of those FBOs have questions about SEO.
Yeah, exactly.
So not to be too poetic or too acronymy, this week's episode is about SEO for FBOs. A lot of our clients are getting solicitations from SEO companies.
Yes.
We even get solicitations from SEO companies, even though we are an SEO company.
We did.
And a lot of them are just so full of hooey that I thought we needed to address this, right?
She's being nice.
Yeah. They have some numbers in these emails, depending on who you get them from and how detailed they are, that sound really impressive and that make it sound like your site is doing terribly and that they can fix it overnight and that you're going to be getting a lot more traffic and you're going to be getting a lot more business and making oodles of money, and you would be an absolute insane person to not call this person back like right now and take whatever deal they're offering, right?
Until you take the time to analyze what they said and look at data from a different source.
Right. Well, and the problem with SEO is that it is technical. It is less so than it used to be. It's a little bit less mysterious than it used to be, but it still is something that, someone who is running a business and has another job doesn't have the time and energy to understand all the nuances and facets of.
True.
And there's a lot of, unfortunately, charlatans.
Black hatters.
Right, whatever. Running around that will take advantage of that. So what we really want to do is make sure that people are able to understand what is required. What is the best practices for SEO if you're an FBO or any other type of aviation company.
Exactly.
Okay. So some of the things you should absolutely invest in SEO, even though there's a lot of charlatans out there. SEO is a legitimate practice and it is a good investment for FBOs.
Yep.
It used to be that you could just get listed in AccuQuick and ForeFlight and be good, right? And AOPA, right? But sadly, or not sadly, people who are choosing, people who are planning trips, people who are choosing FBO services and other folks, a lot of them are either first-time private flyers. They are organizers of events that may not be even in the aviation industry. They are just organizing travel for people in their company and other things. So it's really important that you also have a great website. The other shortcoming of those AccuQuicks and AOPAs and ForeFlights, which we love, but they do have a shortcoming, and that is that they are a cookie cutter format. So, you can list your fuel price, you can list a few other details and things like that, but you can't tell the whole story of what is at your FBO and why people should pick you as opposed to any of the others, right?
Yeah, but anybody else in the field, of course.
Exactly. So, some of the things that you should do when you do SEO, and you should have a website and you should optimize that website for the keywords that you want to be found for. So, just as an example, there are FBOs here in Utah and also Colorado, which is our neighbor, that sound a little bit different than they actually are. The airport sounds a little bit different than it actually is. So if you want to fly into Park City, Utah, as an example,
you can't.
You can't. It's the top of a mountain. There's no airport there. If you want to fly into Park City, you have to fly into Heber,
right,
which is the closest airport. If you want to fly into Vail, same deal. You have to fly into Eagle, Colorado. So, I'm sure there are places like this all over the United States and all over the world where the name of the airport might not be what people are looking for when they're booking travel or when they're planning their trips and things like that. So you want to fly into Park City, you need to make sure that your website is found for Park City, not just Heber, right?
And we all get used to thinking that everybody knows this because we're all in aviation, but the American Express travel people setting up stuff for people don't know this stuff, so they go look it up.
Right. Or if your people are East Coast people, they don't know this. They fly in for a ski trip once a year, if that, or maybe have never been here. They don't know the nuances and they are not really familiar with all of that. So you need to think about the keywords that people will be looking for if they're flying in for a ski trip. They're looking for the FBO at Park City. You want to make sure they find you even if you're not in Park City, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Also, you want to look for keywords like ski trip, FBO, private travel for ski trip. Think about how to describe your services in ways that are used by people who are maybe not in the industry, not in your area, and so on. So besides the fuel types and service types that you have and that you could list in AccuQuick or AOPA or ForeFlight, you also want to list other things like great restaurants nearby, great Italian food just down the street within walking distance of your FBO. That's something you want to mention, right? Because pilots really care about these things. If you have a choice between two FBOs, one of them is right next door to a fabulous Italian restaurant. That's a great selling point, right?
Well, true. But again, it's not the pilot you care about.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes they have some say in what goes on.
If the folks want to go into Park City and they don't care, then the pilot will select whichever he wants to go to.
That's true. And, you have a lot of owner-operators, you have a lot of first-time flyers, you have a lot of people who may be involved in this decision that want to know as much as you can tell them. So service types, other available amenities in your area, close to hotels, close to gyms, close to other things that people are wanting to be looking for. The other thing that I wanted to mention when you're optimizing your website for your SEO, you want to think about besides the city names or the airport names and things like that, what is your region called? And if you listen to the weather about our area, all of the weather people in Salt Lake City talk about the Wasatch Front. They talk about the Ochre Mountains. They talk about the Uinta Mountains. They talk about the Salt Lake Valley. They talk about the Park City Valley. They talk about
Deer Valley.
Deer Valley, right. A lot of different areas. So, if you can use those words when you're optimizing your website and write content about your area that includes a lot of those common phrases that people use to refer to your area that maybe outsiders wouldn't know about, that will give you that much more traffic and that many more opportunities to get listed. So, we like to use the analogy of the old yellow paper phone book that used to land on the porch with a thunk every year, right? You used to only be able to be listed in one category unless you pay extra, and then you might be able to be listed in 2 or 3 categories. But when we're thinking about SEO, it's like being able to be listed under multiple categories. So for fuel, for maintenance, for travel services, for ground transportation, for any of the services that you're looking for, you can get listed under any category you like without paying extra. All you have to do is pick the right keywords.
Which means you have to know your demographics of your prospects.
Exactly. Pick the right keywords and not just, it used to be that you could stack keywords in your website. Google's on to that sort of thing. So, you want to make sure you're using white hat optimization tactics. And the best white hat optimization tactic is to write good material, good video, good articles, good other things like that about your area, about your services, about your people, about the planes, about your customers, and all of those things. And you want to be consistently adding new content and use multiple media if you can, because a site with a video will outscore a site without a video.
Yep.
Okay, great. So, that's just a few things about optimizing your website. SEO for FBOs. Don't believe the spam. Don't respond to people you don't know who suggest that they can get you to the first page of Google. Chances are they don't know the industry. Chances are they're going to use short-term or not as reputable tactics, which the search engines are onto nowadays.
I mean, you can do just about first position on a Google search for anybody, for anything, for a couple hours.
Right.
If you want to pay.
Exactly. And then they take a screenshot, they tell you they did a great job, you pay them, you go away happy. 3 days later, you're back down where you were, or worse, because Google will penalize you if they use those keyword stacking or other techniques that are not cool, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.